So, welcome. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a wonderful time and welcome here. This is Radio.W.O.R.K.S World, and this is your host, Danielle Serpico, the Blackbelt Mastermind. And I'm speaking to you here today from Ireland, from Wicklow, just south of Dublin in Ireland. And it is a beautiful day, and we're actually having a wonderful summer so far. So fingers crossed. And yeah, it's nothing like Ireland normally. We're waking up and looking out the window and we think we're in Spain. So it's very, very good. And of course, I have the wonderful Marina here in the background listening to me there. So it's always wonderful to be with Marina Nanny. I'm sure you all know about Marina, and she is one of my major inspirations in life. And if you have not read the Black Belt Mastermind book yet, a great word and a little clue as to what we're going to be talking about, I highly recommend you read it, even if it is only for the foreword and the little letter in it that is written by Marina Nanny, which is very, very nice and very inspiring. So, okay, so what we're going to be talking about today is the power of words, which is a great subject. Now, let me introduce that first by quantifying why this is so important by telling you very briefly, just for 60 seconds or so, a little synopsis of my story. If you haven't heard it yet, I basically discovered one day when I was on my own self-development journey and coming from a very, very bad place and a very, very low time in my life, I suddenly one day heard it. Yeah, I heard this inner voice. And no, I'm not crazy, or maybe I am, but no crazier than you either, because I heard this little voice in my head speaking to myself. And maybe it seems strange if you have been aware of this voice before, but I had never really taken note of it until this day. And when I heard it, I couldn't silence it any longer. And if you're listening to me and going, who is this crazy kind of half Irish Italian girl who is talking about voices in her head? And you're saying that to yourself. Yeah, it's that voice. That voice who is saying that right now to you and is saying, what is she talking about? That's the voice. Now, when you start becoming aware of that voice, and awareness is another great word, when you become aware, it's impossible to get rid of it. It's impossible to get rid of that awareness because now you know. Now you know that you've got this voice inside your head. So that's the first step, becoming aware. Once you know that you've got this voice inside your head, you can start actually listening to it and making a decision as to whether that voice is useful or not. Because really, we don't have to believe everything we think. No, we don't, because your thoughts are simply just like little snowflakes in one of those beautiful glass snow globes. You shake them, and all those thoughts and all those words get shook around in your head. But then sometimes when you're calm and you're relaxed, those words settle. So your thoughts are simply thoughts. Doesn't mean we have to believe them. But if you're not aware, what happens is you're actually brainwashing yourself. And sometimes people come to me, I work with clients and we go for a lovely walk. We do what I call a walk the talk. We go to a beautiful place in Ireland called Glendalough in the Garden of Ireland, and we walk around. And I do that for a reason, because obviously I'm a mind coach and I work using conversational hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming. And you see, when your conscious mind is distracted, and simply the act of walking can do that sometimes, I can allow the information to go in much more easily and just it goes in naturally into your unconscious, because your conscious mind, you see, acts like a filter. It's your critical mind. It's your logical, analytical mind. And that's the part that I want to bypass. And I want to get my words into your unconscious mind, the part that just allows the information to go in easily and naturally and takes everything in. So you see, we are all actually brainwashing ourselves all the time. So we're all a little bit crazy. But it can be good crazy. We can use it for our own benefit. So we can say words and sentences that empower us, because your words have power. They really, really do. Your words can inspire or they can destroy. So it's up to you to choose them and to choose them well. And there's a great quote. One of my favorite books is a book by a guy called Viktor Frankl. It's one of the first books I read when I was feeling down. And Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. And it's a very, very powerful book with a very, very powerful message. And there's a sentence in it in particular that really resonated with me. And it says, between every stimulus and every action, there's a space. Or we might say between every stimulus and every response, there's a space. So what is in that space? In that space is choice. You always, always have a choice. So you can choose what words you use. You can choose to use words that are uninspiring, unmotivational, depressing, that are going to bring you down, that are going to make you feel more unmotivated, more unempowered, or you can use the opposite. You can use words that will inspire you and lift you up. So it's your choice. So what can you do? You can be more mindful. Okay, how do you do that? You start with little steps. Now I have Marina here on the line. So Marina.
Wow, Danielle. You remember it was over 3 years ago. We were in Windsor, and we decided we are going to talk, and we'll never stop sharing with the people around us the power of words. And since we both went on an adventure, but no matter where we were at the time, we always carried the same message that the words have power, and each word got energy. And the energy and the power, once a cocktail with the ability to heal, to love, to build a new vision, to create a new fresh start, to reinvent your life. That is absolutely magical. And I remember when we first start talking about the power of words, and I asked you to record something for our friends and listeners, and it was so beautiful. And then you came on the show many times, and you share your wisdom, your story, your experiences, and people around the world got to understand a very simple thing about themselves. When we talk about circumstances, we know that they could be overwhelming, and circumstances are different to each one of us. And sometimes you feel trapped, you feel crushed under other people's demands or situations that were created outside your control, simply because you did not make the right choices, or you made no choices at the time, you took no decisions. And that gap between the that gap between when you could take the decision and when the result of you taking or not taking the decision start happening was crucial.
Yeah.
And is to me, happened to me, and I know happened to you, and to you happened in a very different way. And I'm so humbled to share this with our listeners, because you proved to me the power of words. So when taking a decision that is going to end up with you paying the price, or it's still better than not taking a decision, than not making that decision, simply because you become the cause of your own life.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't make that decision, as long as you are not taking the next step forward to create the effect of your actions, to control the end results, to decide on the outcome, you don't stand a chance. So when it comes to the power of words, to me, it's not necessarily about the actual words, the way our listener could think of, or just words. Is the energy that each word carries with it. And more to it, is a tool. So when you want to
Indeed.
change circumstances you can't change because they're overwhelming or they're totally outside your control, there is one thing any one of us can do: change your thoughts. And of course, your thoughts means changing your thoughts means changing your words,
Yeah.
because there is nothing and nobody between you and your mind. And to me, this is the adventure of humanity. If you look back in history, there are so many examples of uh, great people with great ideas, but they had a vision. This is that divine essence each one of us carries, that power of using the right words that will serve you, and
Yeah.
deciding which words are redundant and you have to kill them, like words like if, words like enough, those words
Yeah.
that are limiting you
Yes.
to
Well,
what you've been taught. I think if you look back in history, there are thousands of examples when the fact that a leader choose the right words, they were able to lead into success, to lead into victory. And it's the same with each one of us. So of course you can't change your circumstances, but only you can change your words. Nobody could come into your mind and make that trade, trade if for when, and bad for, so it's very simply technical.
oh, absolutely. And yeah, totally, Marina. And actually, I can explain the
Please.
neurology behind this. As Marina said, it is very technical. And that is a very important point to keep in mind, because remember that you are not your brain. You are something much bigger than your brain. You are something that is holding your brain. So if you relate your brain to a tool, to an incredible, amazing computer, then you realize that you are in control of that computer. You are the one that's pressing the buttons and deciding which way to work it. So when you think of your brain, what we have is an amazing gift. Okay, an amazing, amazing gift. We have something that's called our neurology, and we have something that is called neuroplasticity. Now, neuroplasticity, what that means is that our brain, our mind is ever, ever evolving, ever changing. So that is fantastic. That is great news, because wherever you are right now in your world, in your life, and whatever you're feeling right now, remember that you can change that in an instant. You may be feeling down, you may be feeling lost, overwhelmed, stressed, whatever it is, but you have the power and the choice to change that. And it all starts with the words inside your head, because everything is created twice. Everything is created first in the inside world and then in the outside world. And if we understand this, if we understand this power of our thoughts, of our words, we would start to pay more attention to them. We would start to guard them more closely. And if we understood this, we understood this awesome power, this incredible power in our words, we might prefer even sometimes to silence all our negative thoughts, or almost all our negative thoughts. And instead, we might choose to use more empowering thoughts and words that, instead of creating weakness, they start to create strength and a better future. Because when you think of your neurology, imagine it like Marina mentioned energy. So think of energy. What is the best way to describe energy in our modern world? If you think of electricity, think about electricity. So when you imagine a current of electricity running through something, that's what's happening inside your brain. That's what's happening inside your mind. Every time you have a thought, you have this like shooting light bolt of electricity that fires off in your brain. That's what's called a neural pathway. Now, what's fantastic is, and what's really interesting is, when you say a word, like say you said a sentence that you've never said before, you don't use that often, like the pink the pink elephant skipped down the road. Now, I'm presuming that you don't use that sentence that often. So that sentence creates a little neural pathway, a little bolt of electricity through your mind, but it's probably very, very faint. Now, think about something that you say a lot. inside your head. Maybe you say, oh, I can't do that, or I'm not good enough, or I'll never be able to do, X, whatever it is. Now, if that's a sentence that you use more often, that neural pathway is much, much bigger. So instead of this faint little stream of electricity, this is a major river running through your brain. This is a road. This is a big, bright light fired up in your mind. Now, what's even more incredible is this. When you say those words out loud, that neural pathway becomes about 3 times as strong. So suddenly it becomes a motorway. Okay, so that's incredible. That's good and bad news, because you know that if you're using something negative, you're reinforcing that pathway. If you're saying something positive, you're also reinforcing that pathway. So it starts to make sense now, right? You start to realize how you can actually use this to your benefit. That's what happened with me. When I was feeling really down, I said to myself, I have to make this work. I have to. And I actually said these words to myself in my head, and I said them out loud. And I said, this has to work for me. So I reinforced that neural pathway. So I made it. So think about a time, maybe you've been talking to a friend or relation or somebody, and you tell them something. Maybe you're feeling down and depressed, or something's happened, something bad, you got some bad news. And the moment you go to tell a friend, you start crying. Have you ever had that happen? Why? That's exactly why, because your neural pathway was reinforced. Have you ever experienced that, Marina?
Yes, many times.
Yeah. So whether it's good or bad, you once you've said the words out loud, suddenly you get this wave of emotion that overwhelms you and takes over. It could be good news. You might go to tell somebody some great news, and all of a sudden you spill the beans and you say it out loud and you start crying, or you're exhilarated. Or it could be something bad. You just split with your partner, or something really bad has happened and you've been holding it in and you've been thinking it, and the moment that you say it out loud, suddenly there's tears flowing. That's because you've reinforced those neural pathways. So what does that mean? That means that you can use words and your sentences to benefit you. Now, the good thing about neural pathways is, remember what I said, that you've got neuroplasticity, which means that you can change them, which means your brain is like malleable. It's ever changing, ever evolving. So as quickly as you can get something, like a thought, you can also get rid of it and you can change it. But it all starts with the decision and your choice, and then it starts with how you direct it. So Marina touched on some words there. So for example, what's interesting is you might, for example, have 2 people and they can experience the exact same event or the exact same sensation even, but they experience it differently in their bodies, simply by virtue of the label, by the name that they put on that experience. So for example, one person might say they feel frustrated, while another person just says they feel a little confused. Now, think about that. Frustrated or a little confused. Those amount to a huge difference in the way that you will actually feel. Okay? Think about it. Frustrated. If you say to yourself, I feel frustrated, or I feel angry, rather than I'm saying I feel a little confused, does it change how you feel? Yes, it does. Because your thoughts and your words will have an effect on how you feel. And hence, that will have an effect on how you behave. It's very simple. So at the start, I said, for example, I said, yet. Why did I say yet? Because yet is a word with great power. If you want to do something and you don't know yet how to do it, instead of saying, I can't do that, say, I can't do that yet. And suddenly everything changes, because now what you're doing is, remember I touched on your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. Now you're telling your unconscious mind, you're giving them a presupposition. You're giving them an order, a command. You're actually telling your unconscious mind, which is what rules you, that you're going to do it at some point. You're going to do it very soon, because you just don't know how to do it yet. So how you direct your thoughts and the power of your words is extremely, extremely important. Think of words that you might want to eliminate from your vocabulary, like I can't, if, the word doubt, the word, oh, try. Try is definitely a word. Try implies failure. If you say I'm going to try to do something, that simply means you're going to try. Doesn't mean you're going to do. If you go to try and pick up a glass of water, what happens? You don't actually pick it up. You try to pick it up. So changing that word, if you really mean something, pay attention to it. Next time you go and somebody asks you to do something, if you really want to do it, say, yeah, I will do that. Because try is just simply giving your unconscious mind a command that you're only going to try, that you're not actually going to do. Think about the word don't, because I get people, this is probably the most common thing that I have with my clients. You know, you take the last 3 people that have come to me. One person came to me, they wanted to give up smoking. The other person came to me, they wanted to lose weight. The other person came to me and they said that they wanted to forget about their ex. I asked them one question and they all gave me the exact same response into how they were attempting to stop this thing. Okay, I asked the smoker, what are you doing to stop smoking? And they said, I try every day. Every day I wake up and I say, I'm not going to smoke a cigarette. I'm not going to think about smoking. Okay. Then I ask the person that wants to lose weight, I say, what are you doing? Every day I wake up and I try really hard. And I say to myself, I'm not going to think about biscuits today. I'm not going to think about eating rubbish today. And then I go and ask the person that wants to forget about her ex. And I say, what are you doing? And she says, I try really hard. I don't know why it's not working. Because I say to myself every morning, I say, I'm not going to think about my ex-boyfriend, my ex-partner. Great. So have you noticed what the common denominator is? They're all saying they're not going to think about it. Because you see, your unconscious mind does not process a negative. So when you say, I'm not going to think of something, you're actually going to think about it. It's the ever famous example, don't think about a pink elephant. If you say, don't think about a pink elephant, what happens? You have to think about the pink elephant first to not think about it. Okay? Why? Because we have something in our minds called a monitor, which acts for our protection. So it's looking out for danger. So when we tell it and give it a command and say, we don't want something, we don't want to think about something, we don't want to do something, it is now looking out for whatever that is, the danger, and watching out for it. Now, if it's watching out for it all the time, what's happened? Now it's in your conscious mind. Now, all you can think about is the ex-boyfriend. All you can think about are the cigarettes. All you can think about are the biscuits. So it doesn't work. It's counterproductive. So instead, you have to direct your mind. So instead of using words that are negative, what is the opposite of that? It's about thinking what the positive word is. It's about directing your mind in a better direction. So it's about saying, I can, I will, I'm going to, I know, I'm confident, I believe, all things are possible, I expect the best, I commit to making this real, I will make the time. All these words, all these sentences are powerful sentences because you're building a positive mental connection and commitment. And you're building a new neural pathway, a new direction in which to look. So it's not enough to omit the bad words. You also have to direct your life into a new direction so that your actual mind knows where it's going. Because like coming and listening to this show, like listening to Radio Works, how would you have known to get here if you didn't know where it was? You had to have a plan. So same with your words. You have to build a plan. You have to, the power of your actions is simply preceded by the power of your words. So start with that. Speak with power and bring out the best in yourself and also in others and people around you. And you'll start noticing a huge, huge difference in your life. So I think that might be nearly enough. I think we're nearly out of time for today. How's that, Marina? Over to you.
Wow, Danielle, I could listen to you for hours. And I know you are coming back next week, and I know our listeners will be very excited about the next topic, which I don't know what it is, but we'll soon find out. In the meantime, I wrote down that take responsibility for your words. And I felt the energy. I felt as if I'm almost standing up and walking towards a mountain top. This is how I felt, just writing them. So I know
Brilliant.
when you write, there are 7,000 different parts of your body that are contributing. And I know that sometimes you really need to reinforce the sound with the handwritten power, because that means it's worth writing down. So what is that is worth
Absolutely.
writing down, to our listeners? What is that is worth writing down? And let us know. And I'm sure Danielle will be very kind, as she usually is, to let us know what that means. Anyway, in the meantime, go to our website, www.radio.works.world, and nominate Danielle Serpico for the awards we are holding in London this October. You know why? Because it is priceless what we learn from Danielle over the years, and how much you, Danielle, change into my life personally and into your own life. And I'm aware of the big transformation you've been through, and the fact that you are so close to your biggest victory, to getting your freedom back, and be the stronger version of yourself ever. Over to you, Danielle. What is the key message for today?
Yeah, I would say the key message of today is think about the word impossible. You may have heard this before. Look at the word. Imagine looking at the word impossible. What does it say? It says, I'm possible. I'm possible. So think about the word I am. Start your sentences, start your words every day with I am. I am. Use it in the present tense. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am powerful, I am strong, I am able to do whatever life brings at me. I'm getting better and better every day in every way. Because I am are two of the most powerful words. And remember that what you put after them will shape your future and your reality.
From both of us, until next time, be. Goodbye.